Good afternoon, everyone. I want to show you guys this elk rub here. Look at that one. That's a big old bull. That's a big old bull. So I remember yesterday I said I was going to get out for a hike tomorrow into another area that I love. And this is it. I love this spot. And why? Because there's huge Roosevelt elk in here. It's steep getting in here, but I made her. It's a steep hike, but I made her. Beautiful creek down below us. You can see how steep it is. It's a long ways down there. Long ways down there. Anyways, I felt pretty good after yesterday's hike, so I thought, what the heck? You know what? I'm going to do it again. And I did. But you know what? I am a hell of a long ways from my truck, and I have maybe a couple hours a daylight left. So I am simply gonna take 5-10 minutes here and get another email read out for all you awesome people. Beautiful, eh? Look at that. All right, I'm gonna get set up here, get an email read quick, and get the hell out of here, because I don't want to be hiking out of here at dark. It's too steep. So here we go. Some of these areas are just wild. I've seen some huge elk in here over the years. Again, you can't, they're not open, but the elk aren't open here for me. Not even hunting season right now, it's still January, but even during hunting season, it's not open. All right. I'm not going to waste any time. So there's still a few people out there that can't stand to see Mother Nature. And they are like, get on with the email, buddy. I don't get it. I don't get it. How could you not enjoy this? Like, this is heaven, man. Whatever. Not for everybody. It's not for everybody. All right. All right, back to where I left off. I still have like over 60 emails to read. I don't know how many we've read now, but over 60 still to read. Crazy, eh? How many, for some reason, I think people like Fred Roll and Steve, have really opened the door for people to share their encounters and share their knowledge and whatnot. I think it's a large part of this is due to them. And there's probably other channels out there that do the same thing. I do it now whenever I get a chance, just because I did promise that if you emailed me, I promised I would read your encounter and share your experience here. So as long as the emails come, I'll read them while I'm out doing what I love to do. But it's amazing just how many people worldwide, we're not talking 10,000 or whatever. We're talking probably hundreds of thousands of encounters worldwide. And that's probably yearly or whatever, Anyways, too easy for me to sit and babble here about nothing. I'm going to read this and get my ass in gear and get out of here. So the top of this email, do not share my name. And then this man left his name for me. Good afternoon, Darren. Please don't share my name, as I could be reprimanded for the information that I'm sharing with you. I've been a game warden for 15 years, so I spend a great deal of time in the wilderness, and often some pretty remote places. I can't go into great detail about my experience with Bigfoot, but I can tell everyone who's never seen one, or seen undeniable evidence of one, that these beings do in fact exist. I think that's pretty clear by now. I know I don't need to tell reassure you of their existence, but I do know that a huge part of society simply does not believe these people are real. I've been told many times in my career by my superiors to deny their existence if I'm ever questioned, but I can't lie to people when they ask me the question. And I've been asked, do you believe? Have you seen one? Do they exist? I know they exist because I've seen one. And I've investigated many, many reports from people who claim they've encountered them in the forests. My Bigfoot sighting is nothing crazy. And it lasted for maybe 20 seconds. But I know for damn sure it was one of them. I don't want to disclose where I work, as this could allow the powers to be to find out who I am, and I could lose my job. 2 years ago, I was out on patrol during deer hunting season, and I was patrolling an area near a national park, checking hunters. It was the end of the day, and I was as far back in the mountains as I could get on the road that I was on. And I was on my way out for the day when I came around a bend in the road and I crossed the bridge. I looked over to the left side of the creek, and right there, maybe 50 feet from the bridge, was a huge Bigfoot walking across the creek. I hit the brakes, and as soon as I did, it looked at me and bolted into the timber. This being was massive, and I mean massive. And its hair was a dark cinnamon color, almost chocolate brown. I'd have to say that this creature was 8 to 9 feet tall and very thick throughout its entire body. Massive legs, huge arms. Its hands were down below its knees. I only caught a quick glimpse of its face when it turned and looked at me. I could see its large, dark eyes and big, wide, flat nose. His face was completely covered in hair, except for maybe a little bit on the cheeks and the forehead. The best way I can describe to someone is he looked like a huge prehistoric caveman. He even had a bit of a cone-shaped head. As soon as this thing hit the timber, he was out of sight. I waited there for a couple minutes and then carried on. I've never been able to stop thinking about that day, because out of all of the time I spend in the woods, that's the only time I've ever seen one or seen any sign of one. And I'm in the mountains almost every day of the year. I have followed up with reports from people who claim to have had a run-in with a Bigfoot, but I've never seen proof before. In my career, anytime there's been a file made on a potential Bigfoot encounter, the file gets shredded and never discussed internally. I hand it off to my superior, and that's the last I ever see of it. I can't answer as to why this is the case, but it does make me strongly believe that there's something very significant to hide here. I think at this point, all people can do is speculate as to why we're being withheld information. But more and more people are coming forward now. So in my opinion, it's just a matter of time, and we'll have a lot of the answers. I'm not going to share any of the investigations that I've followed up on unless you'd like me to. And if so, let me know. As I said, I never found any evidence, but there are some really interesting reports of these Bigfoot over the years that I've investigated. People don't call 911 when they're out camping to report a Bigfoot just to get a laugh from people. Maybe they do, but I don't think so. Some of the people that I've interviewed were absolutely hysterical and terrified by what they'd seen. They were not making it up. Anyways, if you'd like to hear more of these encounters that I've checked on, let me know. Be happy to share them. I hope you have a successful hunt and a safe return. Take care, and we will talk again soon. Thanks, Darren. And I'm not going to say this man's name. Well, a game warden. I've been waiting for some more of those from the people that are out there protecting the people in the forests. Us, you and me. I appreciate that, man. You know who you are. I'm not going to say your name. And I 195%. I hate saying that. It sounds stupid that you can't get any more than 100%. I 100% will call you or email you back. I'll email you back and call you because I'd sure love to have a talk with you. I've got friends that are game wardens, some pretty close friends. And I'm going to talk to my one pretty close friend about this topic. I'm going to have a chat with him about it. And I also mentioned to you guys that I have an uncle my uncle is in his mid-70s, and he's built logging road, run machine and built logging road his entire life. And he still works now. He's in pretty tough shape. He's had cancer for quite some time, but he's still working, and he's still here. And I know for a fact that he's had some encounters. I don't know what they are because I haven't talked to him about them, but I've talked to my cousin about them. My uncle is his dad, obviously. I've talked to my cousin about him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you should talk to so-and-so. You should talk to my dad. He'll tell you some stories." So I will get a hold of my uncle at some point in time. Yeah, I want to, God, I got so many people I want to reach out to. I got to get a hold of, and I will. Anyhow, you know what? I think I'm just going to rock and roll here because I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to get dark, and I'm going to be in the bush. And that's okay, but not in this area. This is too steep getting out of here, and I don't want to take a fall in here. So I'm going to rock and roll, and I'm tempted to read another one, but I just better not. I don't have time. So I'll get back out here in a couple of days, a few days from now, about a week from now. Is it a week? I don't know. Beginning of February, I'm taking a week, and I'm going to go do some river fishing and get out on some really good hikes. So, but I'll talk to you guys long before that. I'm going to rock and roll because Mrs. Outlaw is going to kill me if I'm out here till dark. All right. Oh boy, oh boy. The body gets stiff, man. You hike for a while and then you stop. And that's when the body seizes up. It's good to not stop for long. You know, I'm just going to tell you guys one quick story. You said, a bunch of you said, hey, you know, we want to hear your hunting stories and stuff that's happened to you out in the past, in the bush and whatever. And so anyways, it was, oh man, it was probably over 30 years ago. A long time ago, 30 years ago. And I was deer hunting. And it was November, late November. And there's probably a foot or two of snow on the ground. I'm hunting late mule deer rut. And I was in steep country like this, and you got to be really careful with, especially the snow on the ground, right? But I was in steep country just like this, and I was I was probably 8 miles from my truck, and I was on my way back to my truck. I had been out for the entire day, and I was still 8 miles from my truck, and no sign of anything or anybody. Like, say, I'm pretty remote. I love going into the really remote areas, as you know. And anyways, I'm walking along, and just all of a sudden, out of the blue, I hear this hello. And I got to be honest with you, I thought I was losing my friggin' mind. I thought I was going nuts, right? Sorry, I had to check if my microphone was on. I thought I was going nuts, and so I stopped and I'm listening, because sometimes when you're out in the woods, you hear things, right? I'm stopping and I'm listening, and then I hear, hey, and I look, and sitting on this stump, is this man, and he's, I'm going to say 30 yards from me. No clue there was anybody in there. So I'm like, hello. And he goes, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good, how are you? So I started walking towards him, and he had a gun. And this guy was, I'm going to say, so this was 30 years ago. This guy was, I'm going to say, late 60s, at least, maybe 70-ish. Long gray beard, long gray hair, and he had a cowboy hat on, and he had an old rawhide type jacket on, and it's 20 below, and he had leather gloves on, and he's sitting there, and his beard was all frozen and stuff. And anyways, I go get up to him, and I'm like, how you doing? And he goes, oh, pretty good, how are you doing? Anyways, we have a bit of a chat, and it turns out that this guy lived back there. I had no idea there is no roads or nothing back there. The only road is where my truck is, and just before where I park my truck, there's a spur road that goes up, and I know where that spur road is, and that goes up to a landing, old logging slash, and ends. And anyways, he said that's where he parks his truck, and he hikes into his cabin, and he lives there. And he goes into town, I think he said he goes into town 3 or 4 times a year to get groceries and supplies and food and whatnot, and he just traps. He was a trapper, and he'd been there for 18 years. I think he said 18 years in that, and I was like, holy shit. Anyways, it was just kind of funny how, there's a guy sitting there on a stump, and I had no idea. I didn't see him. He didn't move, and he blended in with the surroundings, with the trees, and he was sitting on the stump, and it scared the living shit out of me at first. But I've had a few times like that where been kind of startled. You know, it's turned out to be people, but been startled out in the bush. And man, he was an interesting guy, really interesting guy. And there's another old miner that I met way up in northern British Columbia, and he was the same. He'd lived up way back in the mountains mining, gold mining for his entire life. That's another story for another time. I got to get going here. I'll stand here and talk all damn day. Anyways, remind me. I'll tell you guys about the story about the miner because it was pretty intriguing. He was something else. So. All right, let's get out of here. Time to roll. Well, we made it to the top. And holy cow. This is the top of the world, man. Probably 3/4 of the way up now.